Hello there. This is a box that I'm putting together with Dovetails. Now, Dovetails, I had a friend ask me, do you do Dovetails a lot? Well, anytime you build anything that's like a box, which is pretty much anything that you build starts off almost as a box, a table, everything. You know, as a hand tool woodworker, I could cut finger joints, like guys that, you know, they use a router, they use a table saw or something like that, some kind of jig, and they cut finger joints, you know, on some type of machinery. Or I could use a dovetail, and if I'm doing hand tool woodworking, I'm not cutting hand cut finger joints. I'm going to cut a traditional dovetail because there's a beauty and strength and a tradition to that. That is part of why I like hand tool woodworking. But I cut dovetails in this box, and I don't like the way they came out. I didn't get it all done. I stopped. I've had some like problems also with things like I don't know if you can see. Let me see. Okay, yeah, that knot just blew out, and it's absolutely ugly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these smaller and make the box smaller. But because I've got to make the box smaller, the design of the box is going to be a little bit different. I had designed this as a closed back speaker box. But you have to have a certain type of box volume or an internal size. When you do closed box systems, because otherwise the speaker, the cabinet doesn't sound good. A lot of people say it sounds boxy or whatever. I don't know if there's really an adequate word to describe it, but they don't sound good. So what I'm going to do is, instead of a sealed box, I'm going to use an open back cabinet design, because the dimensions aren't as critical then. And now regarding the dovetails, I've been cutting dovetails with this is Ryobi, or Ryobu, I believe it's Ryobi style saw, and you see how much flex is in this. Now before I go any further, you have to understand there's an old saying, it's a poor craftsman that blames his tool. So I'm not blaming this saw, okay? It's a consideration, and I'll get to that in a minute. I got bugs falling on me and stuff like that. The wonders of working outdoors. But anyway, I have always made it a point to say to you, you can make whatever you've got work, and I still believe that. But most people cut a dovetail with a saw that has a spine on the back of it, so that it stiffens the plate and reduces flex, so that you get supposedly easier, straight, and uniform cuts. So I don't have anything like that except for this. These are wonderful for dovetail work. But this is my fret saw. It's sized specifically for the tangs in the fret, so that when I cut fret slots in a fretboard, I can hammer the frets in, and the barbs on the side of the tangs will grab the wood, and the frets will stay in, and I don't have to worry about them coming out. And the curve of this saw, how wide the slot it cuts, is designed specifically for that, and it's hard to find a good saw that is made for that. And so if this saw goes dull, I'll have to buy a new one. I cannot build guitars without this saw, so I'm loath to use it for anything else. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these and size these down to where I think I can get away with properly. And then I'm going to cut a set of dovetails and pins with this saw to see if that spine makes any difference or whether it's just me. And I need more experience cutting dovetails. Now, my guess is that it's just me. We will see. I still would love to have a really nice dovetail saw, but right now that's not in my foreseeable future, and I'm good with that. Like I said, you can make the materials that you have, the tools that you have. The craftsman makes the joint, the craftsman makes the job, and I am responsible to do the very best that I can and to learn to use the tools that I have. And okay, that's the end of my rant. But I just want to make sure that you understand that I am not blaming the fact that I don't have a back saw or a dovetail saw or anything like that, a specialty saw. I'm not blaming that for lack of precision in dovetails. It's most likely Fat Boy's fault. So I will be back after I cut these and size these, square them off and all of that. I'll be back and we will start working on this build. Lovely. These flipping Japanese saws, I don't know what it is, whether it's because of, it's got to be something to do with this angle. They flipping aggravate my arthritis big time. You want to, not that I'm Mr. Expert on a dovetail, I've told you before, but you want to match that angle, the angle of that dovetail as best that you can, but in the end, as long as you, if you're off, as long as you're not off crazy on every one, you match the pins to those tails anyway. What you want to try to do is avoid going past your lines. And do what you gotta do to do that. And I'm trying to leave a bit of the, in other words, I'm cutting more in the waist area and leave a bit of my pencil line. You hear that? When I pull in it, that kind of, okay, what's happening is this part of this board is flexing when I saw. I have it as low in the vise as I can get it to avoid that, but this vise has 3 round bars, one of them with a screw thread, and it will only allow you to go about that deep, so this is a much longer piece of wood, and so this side is actually unsupported, and so that is why you see me doing this instead of this, and this doesn't hurt much. This does, but it is what it is. It's nothing but a thing, and I love this work, so I will endure it. On smaller stock or thinner stock, you really want to support this if it's joined in the middle like this, because it could actually snap. That would be that technical thing that they call a bad thing. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. Sleeping on the job, I guess. Much better. want to angle the cut in just a hair. If you look at this chisel, I don't know if you can see it or not. Look at that edge, and then look at that. It's the same chisel brand. These are Aldi chisels. But I took a stone, you could take a file or anything, and narrowed that land. I saw somewhere, where I don't have a clue, I can't remember, that a picture of an old-timer his work, and that is what he did, is he took his chisels and modified them because presumably he didn't have the money, or he didn't want to spend the money, one way or the other. In either case, it works. And what I'm doing, I'm tipping that way just a little bit because I want this part of the joint to close up. I don't know if I'll get that. I've been struggling to get that, but we will see. And so the way the dovetail works, the strength in the dovetail is in this long grain gluing. This is end grain, and it's really weak. You can't glue end grain to end grain and get any kind of strength. It's why you can't like glue a 2x4 or a board end to end and expect it to hold. That's an end grain joint. So this is not critical. So I can undercut a little bit to try to close this line up because the strength of the joint is in this long grain area here. The mating of these tails with the pins on the other board, that long grain is what gives it the strength. I use a knife to mark the pins because I found it a pain in the rear end. Well, if my hands would stop shaking, I'd be in good shape. I find it a pain in the rear end to try to use a pencil for that. Try not to move it. Alright, I cut the pins and fit the joint off camera because, quite frankly, that takes quite a long time. And you already saw me cut the dovetails, so I cut them and fit them off camera. Now we're going to make this up. Yeah, that one broke a bit. I'll glue that back together, but that's just a little bit tight. We got a little bit out here, but that's all right because I'll have to take a plane and kind of level that anyway. But yeah, we'll glue that joint, that part right there. But the saw definitely does make a difference. It surely does, which is something I wasn't expecting. I still believe that a good craftsman can do a lot with a little tools, and that you don't have to have a dovetail saw. I have seen people cut dovetails, just absolutely perfect dovetails with one of those. So, but that being said, these joints are a lot better than what I have been getting, and it's because of that saw. The fit is on me, but yeah, that's beautiful. I would take that any day of the week. Now, as I continue to cut dovetails, they will get better, but I can't use the saw that I used on here, so I'm going to have to try to get a Dozuki saw or something like that off of Amazon. And I pushed the one that was, I believe it's this one, yeah. You can see this one here, that there's a piece of wood trying to pull up. Once I take this back apart, I'll peel that back off and super glue it back, and it'll be just fine. But that's a lot better dovetails than I have been getting with that other saw. Once again, I don't believe that I have to have a saw like that to get joints like that. I just have to learn the saw I've got. But yeah, very happy with that. Thanks for watching. What I will probably do is check him out. Mr. Jumping Spider. I love a jumping spider. I hate spiders, but I love jumping spiders. Anyway, what I'll do is cut the rest of the dovetails for the rest of the box, and then I'll come back when we're ready to glue her up. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later.